In this video, I'm going to tell you about why Ballantyne, North Carolina is one of the Charlotte region's most highly sought after suburbs and what people really love about it. It's thought of as this upscale community, really good access to things like retail shops, restaurants. You also have among the most top-rated schools in the entire region here. It's also one of the main corporate hubs in Charlotte. And actually, that's how this area began its development in the early 90s. So in this video, I'm going to dive deeper on all of those details, as well as what people don't love about Ballantyne. So let's get started. Okay, so Ballantyne is located on the south side of the Charlotte area. So you have Uptown right in the middle, and then you have just south of Uptown, you have all of those South Charlotte neighborhoods, which is really prime real estate. A lot of beautiful, most expensive neighborhoods are going to be in that area. And if you go further south, towards that 485 loop that circles all of Charlotte, you'll cross over into Ballantyne. And Ballantyne it's roughly 2,000 acres, and it's kind of expanded a little bit as well throughout the past few years as some of these development projects have kind of came about. So Ballantyne sits in between like the South Charlotte area and then South Carolina. And so it's kind of sandwiched in between those two areas. It's really convenient in the sense that you have quick access to the 485 loop, which can take you right over to the airport, or you could hop on 77 or some other roads and streets as well to get into Uptown. So from a convenience standpoint, I mean, it really does offer quite a bit. Yeah, there's now Johnston Road is going to split Ballantyne into Ballantyne East and Ballantyne West. And there's really, I mean, both sides are going to be great. There's really a lot of benefits and features to both of those. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the housing here. So in terms of the housing, you have a pretty good mix. You have luxury apartments, townhomes, single family homes, a lot of newer suburbs. So, the area was previously pretty rural. It was all actually hunting grounds. So a lot of the neighborhoods and developments there are newer. You have a lot of beautiful like gated communities as well. There are some really nice golf courses in the area. You have Ballantyne Country Club. Overall, Ballantyne is going to offer a pretty upscale lifestyle. The prices are going to be a little bit more expensive in Ballantyne relative to a lot of Charlotte on average. So the history of Ballantyne, it was all rural land, farmland, and most of that land was owned by a Charlotte businessman by the name of Johnny Harris and the Bissell family. So the Bissell family is kind of a staple name here in the Charlotte region. And so those two families basically partnered up and in the early 90s started to develop the Ballantyne area. And they started with a business park. So the Ballantyne Corporate Park is really kind of where everything began. And so you have like hundreds of corporations that have office buildings down that way. You have the Ballantyne Country Club, which is a private country club a little bit further to it's just over on the west side. That is, like I said, one of the premier locations. And then they also developed things along the way of the Ballantyne Village. It's kind of a smaller shopping center, but really the corporate center is really what drove a lot of the people down towards Ballantyne. And then of course, over the years, that began in the early 90s, 485 loop completed its construction. I think that finally was completed in 2015. So now all of a sudden you have not only a lot of businesses down that way, but now you have the good infrastructure to sort of bring in further development. So the corporate park, you have 4 million square feet of Class A office space. Like I said, hundreds of companies down there. I think the largest employer right now is, I want to say Premier Health, and they have like 850 employees. So a lot of tech, a lot of IT, finance, consulting businesses are located in here. I believe it's the largest corporate like business park. I think it's certainly in Charlotte for the larger, North Carolina region as well. And so you have like MetLife has an office or corporate building there, Wells Fargo. A long list of companies. You have that, and then also the shopping is going to be a pretty big sort of focal point. And I've done some other videos and talked about some of these other neighborhoods around the Ballantyne area. And really, we're always referencing its proximity to the shopping in Ballantyne. So Ballantyne, you have overall, there's over 200 dining options, and it's going to be a pretty good mix. So you have some fine dining, a lot of casual, spots. You have steakhouses, breweries, some international restaurant styles. So Ballantyne Village, that was kind of the older shopping center. There's not a whole lot there now, in my opinion at least, but you have the two that really stand out are going to be Blakeney. And so Blakeney is right on the east side of Ballantyne. It's on the intersection of Ray Road and Ardrey Kell Road. And so there you're going to have over 25 places to eat, restaurants, casual. You'll have a lot of retail shops. So like you have like Lululemon, Banana Republic, Target, things like that. And now if you take Ardrey Kell Road and you keep going further east, just like 3 more miles, you'll also have Waverly shopping. Waverly, you'll have like Whole Foods. There's like dozens of other, shops and, retail places to eat. So in terms of amenities, like these shopping centers are going to be really the place where so many people, like in South Charlotte, Weddington, Waxhaw, Matthews, like all of the people living in that area are going to be using, those amenities and going to those shopping centers. So it's a really big location, basically central location for shopping. Also to Wegmans, Charlotte's going to have its first Wegmans in 2026. That is going to be close to what's called the Bowl at Ballantyne. So the Bowl at Ballantyne is really the big sort of news story for Ballantyne. It's the newest shopping retail. They actually are branding it as the Ballantyne's new living room and kitchen and like concert hall. So the developers, the Northwood Development Company, they have in 2020, they broke ground and I believe it's Ballantyne Reimagined. And basically they converted an older public golf course right next to that corporate park, the business corporate park. There was a old public golf course. They have demolished all that, and renovated that and built up these retail spaces. So it's a 20-acre site. They really wanted to make it more of a destination experience, not a place where you just drove to, bought something and got in your car and left. And so this is more of an interactive place where you can hang out. They do events throughout the year. For the retail space, they have places like the Flower Child, really good restaurant, OMB, Old Mecklenburg Brewery is actually one of my favorite. I'm pretty sure that this location in Ballantyne is also just as large. And so that's one of the nice things about the brewery is it has a lot of space. We have little kids so they can run around and things like that. So it makes it pretty easy. It is here. So they have playgrounds as well here. It's next. So the Stream Park is right at the Bowl. And the Stream Park is like the 6-acre park. It's going to have like slides and just like really cool, like built-in playgrounds into this area. There's also like a pedestrian bridge that connects the playground and parks to the retail spaces. And then they also have residential buildings there as well. So they have, it's called Oro Ballantyne, and like luxury apartments, studio apartments up to 3 beds, townhomes, and I believe penthouses as well. Definitely a place to check out. Like if you're just visiting the area, highly encourage you go there. They connected the Bowl area to the lower McAlpine Creek Greenway, which is awesome. So the Carolina Trail Thread System, like the local governments really throughout the Carolinas, they do a lot to connect all of these greenways and things. And really, I think it's awesome. It's one of my favorite things about the Charlotte region. It's just everything's pretty connected. And it's almost like no matter where you live, you'll have somewhat close access to a greenway. It's not perfect. It's not everywhere, but it's in a lot of areas. So now overall though, like Ballantyne, it has over 100 acres of green space, which is nice. So again, the area is not that, old. So a lot of like South Charlotte, or when you get closer into uptown, like a lot of those neighborhoods and houses have been there for a long time. Whereas if you get out a little bit further, this was undeveloped land. The city and government basically could work with developers a little bit more and, better design some of these projects to kind of keep some of the green space, and that's a big thing. So you have, over 20 parks, 20 miles of walking and biking trails to tap into. Also next to this bowl in the Stream Park there, you have Ballantyne Backyard. And that's just another park. I believe it's larger. I think it's close to like 100 acres actually. Now that has some water, has some ponds there. I think there's 2 ponds, but you can fish, you can catch and release. So bring your fishing pole to the bowl. And if you're into that, it's just another fun thing to do outside. And Ballantyne is also close to South Park as well. From a commute standpoint, right? Like from a lifestyle standpoint too, like if you work at a corporate office in Ballantyne, like you can't really get it any better because your commute time is minimal. If anything, you could possibly even take a bike to work, especially if you work at one of those corporate office buildings in Ballantyne. Like it's kind of perfect. Now, if you work in Uptown, it's going to take you a little while to get to Uptown. It says Google Maps will show you 25 to like 40 to 45 minutes. And it does vary depending on when you're going to go and exactly where you are in Ballantyne. If you're off one of the main roads and you need to take, 5-10 minutes just to get to 77, that's going to slow things down too. So you have to kind of factor all that stuff in. Now, halfway, or not almost halfway, a little bit further than halfway to Uptown from Ballantyne is South Park. So there are also a lot of corporate buildings in the South Park area, and that's a little bit more of a reasonable commute, I would say, for a lot of people. When I talk to a lot of people, they want to stay within 30 minutes, and you should be able to get to South Park within 30 minutes. And I think I mentioned earlier too, it's like 25 to 30 minutes to the airport as well. So you just take 485 and you head west while you go on the inner loop on 485, and you'll head up to the airport. I mean, overall, it's a really good area for professionals, families, retirees, if you can afford to live there. Those schools, two that really kind of stand out are Ardrey Kell, the high school. I think it's like the number 7th ranked public high school in North Carolina. Overall, a lot of the schools are going to be top ranked, top rated, A-rated schools. Yeah, so the prices, what does it cost to live in Ballantyne? Well, the median price is going to be a little bit more than what it is in Charlotte. So the median right now for a single family home in Ballantyne is $690,000, and that's for a 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,700 square foot home built in 1998. And the average is going to be a little bit more at about $828,000 for a 4-bed, 3.5-bath, 3,000 square foot home built in 1998. Now the range, obviously, it can get up there depending on the neighborhood where you are, 2.5 million plus in some instances. But, townhomes, they're going to be roughly like 300 to 750,000 with a median around 450. And then they also have some condos in Ballantyne as well. So those, somewhere around 250 to 375. All right. So the cons, what do people not love about Ballantyne? The biggest thing, I think, for a lot of neighborhoods, I would say, especially some of these most highly sought after neighborhoods, is the traffic and commute times. So when an area gets popular, when people want to move there, well, it gets busy. So naturally, it will increase the amount of traffic and congestion. And that's definitely the case with Ballantyne. So it does really get kind of jammed up on those streets. So 485 can get busy. Johnston Road, Ray Road, all of those streets are going to get busy, especially during, peak drive time, rush hour. That's going to be certainly a negative. In all of Charlotte, we don't really have great public transportation. We have a light rail, but it's pretty limited. You're not really going to be able to use that as your mode of transportation. And so overall, the area just Ballantyne especially does not have great public, transportation options. So that could be a negative. The cost of living, that could also be a negative. It's just a little bit more expensive. It's more expensive because it has so much. So it's kind of, like I said, if you can afford to live there and the commute time works, like definitely consider it. Another con would be just limited nightlife. So you have I'd say great access to daily activities in terms of just places to eat, shops. I'll have a lot of family friendly things to do in the Ballantyne area. It's just, if you're looking for nightlife, you're going to need to go to South End or Uptown for that. And it's a decent commute. You need a car in all of Charlotte, but especially if you're going to be going out. I mean, you could take the, drive to a light rail stop, but I mean, I don't think that would work, if you're going out late. So it doesn't have also access to like things like theaters and museums. Like that's all going to be in the Uptown area. So that could be another negative. The next one would be the less walkability. So you're in the suburbs. You're not going to have the walkability of a neighborhood like Plaza Midwood or Noda or Dilworth or South End. So those neighborhoods are going to offer peak walkability you could walk to a restaurant or a park or something. But in Ballantyne, you're definitely gonna need a car. And so going further into that, the neighborhoods there they're going to be a little bit more of a cookie cutter feel to them. They're newer. They're going to be master planned communities. You know, some of those neighborhoods, a lot of the homes are going to look the same. You might have smaller lots as well, a little bit closer together. And you don't have those like historic neighborhoods that we have a lot of in Charlotte, especially once you get closer into uptown. So you could make an argument that you lose a little bit of the character of the neighborhood in some of these newer areas, basically. And so that's, depending on, you might view that as a negative. So schools, it would be the last one. Now the schools are top rated. However, they're also overcrowded as well. So the top rated schools in areas are really being sought after by a lot of families, a lot of households. And, that leads to overcrowding. It's definitely been an issue and a hot topic. So that's a negative as well. From a big picture perspective, it's also kind of telling. I think it speaks to just like the growth in Charlotte. Like we have 117 people move here every day to, the Charlotte region. So we have, in Mecklenburg County alone, we'll have over 30,000 new residents every year. And so we're attracting so many people because of all of these businesses. We have the lowest corporate tax rate in the country right now. There's a lot of good things happening in the Charlotte area. And as a downside, like obviously there are going to be some growing pains and some things that are just not good that happen as a result of that. But I still love almost everything about the Charlotte area and Charlotte region. So I'll definitely take these negatives versus a lot of others in different parts of the country here. So that is Ballantyne in a nutshell. Oh, one other thing on the bowl. They came up with the name, the Bowl at Ballantyne, for two reasons. I guess the golf course had a bowl shape to it, which is what they demolished. And also too, it kind of ties in with the culinary scene of the restaurants. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to mention that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Chris Phillis. I help people just like you relocate to the Charlotte area or move within the area every day. So reach out. Love to hear from you. Ask your questions. And until then, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.